in today's video, I'm here to show you how to do a burn victim makeup. Now we are starting off with some Vaseline, and this Vaseline is to be put over our hairs to stop the latex from sticking into your hair so much. So I'm running quite a bit over my eyebrows because obviously I don't want to lose my eyebrows, and I'm also running this around my hairline. And for those of you that have crazy flyaway baby hairs like I do, this is quite useful, and you can almost use it as like a gel to get those baby hairs off your face to ensure they don't stick in the latex. Now I'm grabbing my bottle of latex and I'm shaking it up quite a bit, pouring a little bit into a shot glass or a plastic shot glass, and first of all I'm going to do a bit of a patch test on the inside of my wrist or the inside of your hand, whatever you prefer, just to make sure I have no allergies to latex. And you want to do this quite regularly because you can grow allergies to things like this. Then I am applying the latex straight to my face in small layers, in small sections, and as you can see here, the fumes do get quite intense. You have to be careful with latex because it does have ammonia in it, so the fumes can be very strong. So not putting this too close to my eyes because of the fumes, and you also want to make sure you're applying this in a well ventilated area. Then I'm grabbing my spatula once the latex has dried a little bit, and I'm just going through and I'm poking holes with the pointy end of my spatula into the latex and creating circle shaped holes in the layers of the latex. And later on this will be the burn holes in the face of the latex. We're just going through, and this is completely random. There's no cookie cutter template of how to do this. Every time you do this it'll be different. You just keep rolling with it and go with it and see how you feel as you're applying it, and you just can keep going back in and adding another layer of latex and poking holes in that, and then if you feel like you need more, you can poke more holes in the latex. So it's completely up to you how far you go with these effects. But you can just kind of go with it and roll with it as you're going through. So just applying this now to the other side of my face and repeating all those steps that I just mentioned. So adding the latex, grabbing my spatula and poking holes in it. Now I do find with the spatula, I did find that the pointier end of my spatula was very helpful to help kind of break the seal through that latex to get a good hole in it. Now this is a very time consuming and repetitive process, but trust me, in the end it is well worth it because the final look does come together and look really more authentic when you take your time and make sure you're poking those holes in the latex and building up the layers. It does look a lot better to the final look, and it looks spot on by the end. I did also find that it was quite helpful, and usually when I use latex, to not let it completely dry. It can get a little bit painful when you're pulling dry latex off your face. So if you make sure the latex isn't completely dry before you start picking at it, you can find it a little bit more helpful because it's not so painful to be pulling that dry latex off your face. It's still a little bit more pliable. Next technique is using cotton wool. Now for this technique you want to get cotton wool balls and pull little strips and threads off them, and I am laying down a layer of latex, applying the cotton wool on top of that, and then applying another layer of latex. So you're basically sandwiching the cotton wool between two layers of latex. And you just repeat this process all over your face as much or as little as you want. Now before this completely dries, I go in with my spatula and I basically kind of make sure the cotton wool is in one kind of line, and then morph it into a bit of a circle shape to make sure it looks a bit like a hole, and that way it looks like the hole in the face has more depth to it. By the time we finish this, the holes, those little holes that we've created in the face, will look like they are quite deep. And I feel like with this look, adding the different textures that I'm showing you here and the different processes really adds to the final look. and it gives the final look a bit more interest and a little bit more difference in the texture of the skin, the color of the skin, and the way the overall look looks, and it makes it look a little bit more realistic and authentic. And here you can see I'm adding some cotton wool around my eyes, and like I said, you want to be very careful with latex because it is a chemical. If you get this in your eyes or the fumes in your eyes, it can be very painful, so make sure you're not going too close to your eyes. If you do want something a bit closer to your eyes than what I'm showing here, I would suggest maybe using a prosthetic and sticking it on rather than using a latex really close to your eyes. And here I'm just playing with the latex a little bit more, just picking some more holes in it because obviously I felt like there was not enough in it. And you can make these holes big, you can make them small. I suggest using different sizes of holes because once again it adds to the realistic effect of the look. Now I'm going in with my third and final technique that I'm going to show you today, and this is using ground coffee. Yes, I said ground coffee. This looks amazing in the final look using this texture. So for this one, once again, we want to sandwich the coffee between 2 layers of latex. So lay down a layer of latex, add some coffee, press the coffee into that latex, and then add another layer of latex over the top. Now we add the extra layer of latex over the top so you don't get ground coffee flaking off all over your face. It definitely like seals it in and sandwiches it in and makes sure it stays on your face. And the latex does dry down clear over the coffee. You don't end up with like yellow coffee on your face. And here I am going to start including my eyebrow. So as you can, if you've seen any kind of pictures or any movies where people have had like a flash burn on their face or anything like that, generally they don't have their eyebrows because the hair is the first thing to burn on a face. So you will need to get rid of them if you are happy to do that. You can apply the latex over your eyebrows. You just need to be really careful with application and removal. So we have already added our Vaseline to the eyebrows. That's going to help the latex not stick to the hair as much and make it a lot easier to remove when we do the removal of the whole prosthetic. So you can just apply the latex straight over your eyebrows if you feel happy to do that. If not, I would probably suggest just leaving the eyebrows, not touching the eyebrows in this look, or you can once again glue a prosthetic over your eyebrows, and that way you won't have to put the glue into your eyebrows. And I will have a video coming out very shortly of the proper removal method of prosthetics, so that way you don't lose any of your precious eyebrow hairs. So stay tuned for that. Make sure you subscribe to see that one in the near future. And around the eyebrows, once again, I'm kind of pulling the cotton wool down a little bit to give that kind of sagging, melted skin look. And here you can see I'm just gluing the cotton wool straight over my eyebrows with the same method that we used before, the latex cotton wool latex method. With applying the latex, you want to use like a disposable sponge because it definitely is easier to use that. Latex can really destroy makeup brushes. Any kind of special effects makeups really destroy makeup brushes, I've found. So you want to get some like cheap paint brushes, or just use the disposable triangle or round sponges, whatever you have in your supply. I would just highly recommend not using your makeup brushes. And here I'm just going around with my fingers around like the edges of the latex and just kind of rolling it up and adding more holes to the area. Now I'm going in with a translucent powder to set the whole latex. If you have time to completely let your latex set, you can avoid this step, but this just guarantees that it's set before. Now I'm going in with my alcohol activated paint palette by Skin Illustrator, and my alcohol, I've also got some cheap brushes here, as you can see. Now in my Skin Illustrator palette, I'm using like all the red colors. Obviously we are a burn victim, the skin is quite red and inflamed and like bloody. So we're using all the reds. We'll also be using black, a little bit of the blue, some white, and some grease paints as well later on. Here I'm just going in with a red and I'm running this around the perimeter of my face just to get started, and then I'm just grabbing randomly at each of the red colors, and with a kind of a smaller stipple brush I'm just randomly stippling and splotching and placing this in random patterns all over the face. The best thing with this look to make it more realistic looking is to break up the color. You don't want to paint your whole face the one red color. You want to really break up the color and disperse the color quite randomly all over the face. So I'm just randomly dipping into each of the different red shades that I have and just randomly placing them over my face with different size brushes in different patterns, just randomly all over the face. And here I'm just going back in with that red and just running the edges of the red like back into my hairline, just to make it look less like I'm wearing a mask and more like a true injury. Now I'm going in with a black and I'm just running the black along a few of the edges of the holes in the latex, and this just adds a layer of depth to the hole and it makes the hole look deep. So we are adding dark to make it move away and light is to highlight. So we're adding more shade to the look to make it recess into the face and make it look more deep looking. Now I'm going in with a stipple brush into the different red colors in my Skin Illustrator palette, and I'm just running the injury down my neck. If you wish, you can run this prosthetics down your neck, so you can run the latex and the coffee and the cotton wool down your neck to continue the injury down to where your costume finishes, or you can just do what I've done and just have the kind of latex on the face and then run the alcohol paints down your neck. Here I'm going in with grease paints around my eyes. Now you don't want to use the alcohol activated paints around your eyes because it will burn if you get alcohol in your eyes. So I would highly suggest using a grease paint around your eyes, and I'm using red, white and black. Now I didn't really like the color of this red. I found it way too intense and way too bright. So I'm just running black and white around the eyes and kind of shading it and patting it in with my fingers to just kind of help blend the colors. The problem when you're using alcohol activated and grease is alcohol activated looks more like the colors coming a little bit from like under the skin, whereas grease paints look like they are sitting on top of the skin. So you can have a little bit of trouble sometimes blending the colors together and making them look really stick together against each other, but just work with what you've got, blend things out, play with it until you're happy with the colors. I then dabbed some of the white grease paint over my skin and blended it out with my finger, once again just to add a different color and depth to the look. I'm also running the grease paints over my lips and just playing with the color until I was happy with it. Once again I used the white, red and black, and I just kept playing with it until I was happy with it. I gave my lips a little bit more black to it to make them look like they were really severely burnt and like really swollen and sickly. I'm then going in with some stage blood, some fresh scratch blood and some lube. Yes, I just said lube. Lube is perfect for this look. It makes the look really juicy and wet and like swollen and sticky. So I just put some lube on my fingers and just kind of patted it over my face just randomly. I did the same with the stage blood and the fresh scratch. The fresh scratch I put on the back of my brush, on the end of my brush, and I just kind of ran it into some of the holes to make them look like they were really wet and oozy and sore with blood. And then the same with the stage blood, I just ran it randomly in little spots over the face. You don't want to go too overboard with the blood in this look because it just looks unrealistic with this look when you use too much blood. Then I'm running the alcohol activated paints down my neck and onto my chest, just so basically all the skin is covered to make it look more realistic. You just want it to be covered just so it looks like it's all into one. And I also ran this down my hands. You can do this, you can miss it, it's up to you, but I just think it added a little bit extra fun to the look, as you can see here. And this is the final look, everyone. Don't I look beautiful? Don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up if you liked it. Also, if you're new around here, I hope you'll consider subscribing down below. And if you recreate this look, please tag me on Instagram. I would love to see your recreations. That's it for this one, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.